This video is going to be a demonstration of the Symantec security routing engine created by ITS partners using Symantec workflow. The purpose of this routing rules engine is to be able to route security incidents that occur in different security systems to the appropriate person to work them. Now, ITS Partners has a lot of security customers that use such products as Symantec Data Loss Prevention, Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager, and other kinds. And a lot of those have different types of problems and incidents that will occur in them, and they need these incidents to be resolved by a security officer. Now, in some customers, the security officers could be globally dispersed, meaning that you would have someone maybe in Sydney, Rome, different areas of the world that would handle a security incident based upon the location. I mean, that could also be in the US, meaning if Grand Rapids, Atlanta, and Salt Lake City being different locations of a company and their engineers are located in those areas and they need the incidents resolved by someone in that area because you may need a personal touch, you may need to get connected with the person. Within this demo, we're going to demo our routing engine that gives us the ability to take an incident and then route it to the appropriate person. Within this demo, we're going to use Symantec Data Loss Prevention as our security application that we're going to be running against. We have incidents within data loss prevention that come in, DLP that come in, and we need to be able to route those to the appropriate person to have them handle them correctly. So we already have a couple of rules created within Symantec Data Loss Prevention to create emails to go out. Now you can have the standard rules of sending it back to the sender if it's an email type, or sending it back to them, send it to their manager or something of that sort. But we also created a custom rule to be able to send it to an email that our routing rules engine is watching. So we'll take a look at the format and how the routing rules can work in a second. But for this format, let's go ahead and send through our Run Smart Response some emails, so at least we'll have some new emails kind of available for that and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and send those. So we've set out some emails have come out from there. Now this can be set to run on other conditions, to be ran manually. We're just kind of demonstrating it with a manual run at this point. So this is the front-end management form for the security routing engine. Within this, we can create rules. We'll look at a couple configuration items first. So we can configure the sources. We can have different sources. So as we said, SEP, DLP, some test ones and everything. So if I look at one of these sources, so say we'll look at the DLP one, we can see that this one is coming from a monitor type of POP. It can handle IMAP and also can handle coming actually from a workflow. So actually a semantic workflow, maybe monitoring a database or a web service, or it can handle an incoming email come in and then kind of handle that email as it comes in. So you just have to have the name of the email server that it's going to be monitoring, what port to monitor on, and then username and password information. We also have configured the SMTP for sending out emails. So if we only want to send out the responses emails, we can configure that here too. Those are all configuration settings that we have options to change. And then we can create rules, but before we create rules, we have to have label patterns and label sources to go off of. So if we have our label source of DLP coming in, that's set up on the front end and everything, we can then add labels. So we've got a list of labels here that are available for DLP. Any of these can be found within the email that we receive from DLP, and then we can use those to perform routing or to make decisions or anything. That's the sort of first setup and everything. We can look at this one routing rule we already have in here. So we have a routing engineer with location Atlanta or Grand Rapids. If I edit this, we'll see that we've got a few conditions set up. So we've got some conditions that are kind of set up here directly to say if it's department equals engineering, location equals Grand Rapids, location equals Atlanta. What we then do is set up an evaluation equation saying that condition 1 or condition 2 and condition are going to fire at one point, and then condition 0 is also. So we can look at this, create an equation however we want to for that, and then we can validate that condition also, and we can see the equation, verify that it was good, and it's going to give a text reading of what that equation is. So the next thing that happens is we have the condition come in, and then we can have an action run off it. You can have more than one action. The single action we haven't fired off of this rule is that it sends an email using the template DLP labels. So I can go ahead and edit this, and we'll see we input who our from is, who our to is, and I can edit our from here and sort of like put something else in there. So we can do no reply if we know that it's not going to have a reply to or anything on that. And we have our to and then our DLP labels. So I'm going to go ahead and save that action. And then once we're done saving this action, we can save the entire rule, and that'll save us, and now we have a new rule kind of created in there. For the next option, we can also go ahead and create a new rule. So let's go ahead and add a new routing rule. This is going to, again, let's go ahead and do a label pattern. We're going to fire again on the DLP source. Our label pattern for this, again, will be location, and we can say equals, and then I click save condition, and now we have our condition. Now, one thing I usually forget to do is add a rule, so route. So I've got a condition in here. We can add other conditions, so I could go off the title. We wanted something particular in the title. We can go off of something within the body or something within the source, what source it is, and then who it's from can also be done. So we have several areas we can handle within conditions there. The label pattern is probably the most useful because then we can kind of choose different things from within the email that we're going to kind of pull out as labels and patterns that we're going to pull within there. And then any amount of information I put in here I can add to the equation and then start making in my rules as to if I'm going to say and, ors, or any kind of delimiters we're putting in that side. So the next thing we need to do is we need to choose the action. So from here we can send an email. The other option is to send it to workflow. If we also know we might getting some false positive information in from the notifications, we may do nothing on a particular item. Sending email is fairly generic. It's just going to send an email with the email that we created within the email templates that are available within the system. We can also send it to a workflow. So a workflow would allow us to be able to call a separate web service to create an incident in another system like Symantec Service Desk, or create a workflow that would create a task within workflow for someone to perform with escalations and timeouts and other stuff that can be done within workflow. Other web services could be called to, like calling Remedy or ServiceNow or anything that's possible as a possible incident management system that you may have as the customer may have. So we're going to go ahead and send the email and put a from address in here, and we'll put in who to send it to. Select our email template and save that action. Now we can manage the email templates from here. We can do it on the main management page. We have the ability to look up our templates here, can kind of edit them, add information to them, add the different ports and everything, anything we want to add directly from here. There is a pattern and token guide where we have other tokens and other pieces we can put into the patterns just to kind of understand what it's looking for. So we got a little bit of guide there to understand that. But we can add pretty much anything we want within the email system here when we're sending our email out. So I'm going to go ahead and save this rule. Now for demo purposes, we do have a button down here to run the rules. It's also used for testing the rules as you kind of create them to make sure they work. But in general, or in the overall use of this within a production environment, the belief would be that this would be running as a monitor project. So it's going to be running on a schedule, either every hour, every 4 hours, every half an hour. There's pretty much any option you want to do, and you schedule that, kind of run it on a schedule that it's going to be checking the email box and kind of checking to see. We can do it as fast as 5 minutes. It just depends on the environment requirements for how often these incidents need to be routed and created and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and run the rules. It's going to run a page here that's kind of going to show as it runs the rules and what rules have run through. It'll run through all of them and kind of running all of them, kind of make sure, see if it has any changes or anything. Then we can come to our mail client and we can see in the service _DLP email, we've got 2 emails. Now if we check and get all of our messages, we'll see that Jesse now has 2 emails from DLP emails at our no reply, and it's got all of our information in it as to the information that was kind of originally in that email and the information we asked it to say. Thank you for watching this video. This has been a demo of the Symantec security routing workflow created by ITS partners using Symantec workflow.